What if the most profound spiritual truth isn't found in another book, another guru, another 10 years of seeking? What if the enlightenment you're searching for isn't something you achieve, but something you finally allow yourself to feel? This video isn't about adding more to your spiritual checklist. It's about revealing why the relentless search itself might be the detour, and how true realization is a deeply felt homecoming, right here, right now. Ancient sages across cultures from the East to indigenous Americas hinted at a wisdom not acquired, but remembered, a knowing already imprinted within your very being. Are you tired of the spiritual treadmill, that feeling that the answer is always just out of reach? Stay with me, because the search might end sooner than you think. It begins as a gentle whisper, a quiet yearning for something more, for meaning, for a peace that seems just beyond our everyday grasp. This is the natural human impulse, the start of what can become a profound spiritual journey. We are in essence wired for growth, for a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place within this vast, mysterious universe. But in our modern world, this noble quest can subtly morph. We find ourselves in a kind of spiritual gold rush, surrounded by an overwhelming abundance of paths, teachings, workshops, and ancient texts now available at our fingertips. The promise of a breakthrough of final answers seems to shimmer on every new horizon. And so, we can fall into a cycle of moreism. More books line our shelves, more seminars fill our weekends, more complex techniques are added to our practice. Yet for many, this accumulation doesn't lead to the anticipated liberation. Instead, a subtle exhaustion can set in, a feeling that the more we learn, the more there is to learn, and the core yearning remains untouched. This is where the well-intentioned search can become a sophisticated trap, sometimes even leading to what's known as spiritual bypassing, using spiritual concepts to sidestep the often uncomfortable yet necessary inner work of facing our own unprocessed emotions and ingrained patterns. The crucial question then becomes, is our very method of searching inadvertently keeping us from the very peace we crave? Are we consistently looking for an external key to unlock an internal door? Neuroscience itself offers a fascinating clue here. Our brains are equipped with what's called the default mode network. You might think of it as an inner storyteller, constantly weaving narratives, mulling over problems, and planning for the future. While this network is vital for many functions, if it operates on autopilot, particularly in our spiritual endeavors, it can keep us perpetually in search mode. It projects enlightenment as a distant goal, a future achievement that requires just one more piece of information, one more practice, rather than recognizing it as a present moment felt sense, an allowing of what already is. When the search transforms from a heartfelt exploration into a compulsive mental habit, it can, with the best of intentions, obscure the profound and often startling simplicity of our own inherent presence. There's a world of difference between knowing about something and knowing it directly through your own experience. This distinction is particularly vital on the spiritual path. We can accumulate a vast library of information about enlightenment, about peace, about the nature of reality. We can learn the Sanskrit terms, the philosophical arguments, the historical lineages. This is the realm of conceptual knowledge, often called jnana in traditions like Vedanta. But this is not the same as vijnana or anubhava, the realized knowledge, the direct, unmediated experience of truth. Imagine trying to understand the Grand Canyon. You could collect every map ever drawn, study its complex geological surveys, gaze at thousands of stunning photographs. You could amass a mountain of data, enough to lecture eloquently on its formations and history. But all of that intellectual understanding, as impressive as it might be, pales in comparison to the raw, humbling feeling of standing on its rim. The wind shaping itself around you, the sheer, silent scale of it resonating deep within your bones. An experience that leaves you wordless. Spiritual book smarts can often be like that, A collection of fascinating maps, but a world away from the felt immensity, the lived reality, of your own inner landscape. Our Western culture, with its strong emphasis on intellectual achievement and the acquisition of information, often conditions us to approach spirituality as just another subject to be mastered by the mind, another set of facts to be learned and categorized. Consider the archetype, often observed in spiritual communities, of the perennial student. This is the individual who is deeply versed in countless traditions, who can quote scriptures and debate esoteric concepts with ease. Yet, in private moments, they might confess to a persistent undercurrent of emptiness, a feeling that despite all their knowing about, something essential remains untouched, unexperienced. Their diligent search for more knowledge hasn't necessarily translated into a deeper, abiding peace, precisely because the fundamental shift required isn't merely an addition of more information to the mind, but a profound change in the very locus of knowing, a journey from the head to the heart, from the realm of thought to the vibrant reality of felt presence. So, if intellectual accumulation isn't the key, what is? The answer lies in cultivating a different kind of intelligence, an inner knowing that is felt within. This isn't about becoming overly emotional or sentimental. Rather, it's about attuning to a subtle, yet profoundly wise, somatic and intuitive intelligence that resides within each of us. The philosopher and psychotherapist Eugene Gendlin coined the term felt sense. He described it as a bodily felt awareness of a situation or an issue, a vague, implicit knowing that, when we learn to gently hold our attention on it, can unfold into specific insights, a deep sense of rightness, or a clear path forward. This felt sense is not a thought, nor is it a raw emotion. It's a more nuanced, holistic bodily knowing that often precedes clear cognitive understanding. It's a whisper from our deeper intelligence. Think of this inner knowing not as a radio station you're trying to tune into through layers of static, but more like an incredibly sensitive internal seismograph. This inner instrument is constantly registering the subtle tremors of truth, the quiet resonances of authenticity, often long before your thinking mind can process or articulate them. The incessant chatter of our minds, the endless internal dialogues, can be like constant, surface-level disturbances, making it incredibly difficult to detect these deeper, more meaningful signals emanating from our core. And here lies a timeless insight echoed by the ancient Stoic philosophers. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, spoke of cultivating an inner citadel, a sanctuary of unshakable peace and wisdom within oneself. This wasn't a fortress built by intellectual arguments or complex philosophies, but a space accessed through a consistent, gentle turning inward, a feeling for that internal stronghold of tranquility, a quiet attunement to the steadfast presence within. So the question echoes through the ages to us now. How do we rediscover the sensitivity of our internal seismograph or find the pathway to our own inner citadel amidst the complexities of modern life? This capacity to feel truth, this felt sense, isn't a special gift for a select few. It is a universal human faculty, a birthright. However, for many of us, it has become underdeveloped, often quieted by the noise of the external world and the louder demands of our analytical minds. If this profound felt sense is always registering its subtle wisdom within us, what typically blocks our access to its clear and guiding presence? One of the primary veils to this deep inner feeling is our own hyperactive conceptual mind. It's crucial to understand that the mind itself is not an enemy. It's an incredible tool, indispensable for navigating our world. The challenge arises when this tool is overused, or when we try to apply its analytical prowess to realms where a different kind of knowing is required, the realm of direct, felt experience. Many of us operate with a persistent learner's mind when it comes to spiritual growth. This aspect of mind always feels it needs just one more piece of the puzzle, one more teaching, one more insight, before it can finally allow itself to rest, to feel complete, to simply be. It's always looking for the next mental acquisition. This is where the invitation to simplicity radical emerges. It's the profound understanding that the ultimate truth, the peace we seek, isn't something complex that we need to construct with elaborate thoughts or intricate philosophies. Rather, it's something fundamentally simple, something already present, that is revealed when we begin to gently subtract the layers of mental clutter that obscure it. This leads us to the practice of detaching from, or disidentifying with, our conceptual mind. This isn't about waging a war against our thoughts, or attempting the near-impossible feat of stopping them altogether. Instead, it's about cultivating a new relationship with them. It's learning to observe our thoughts as they arise and pass, like watching clouds drift across the vast, open sky of our awareness. We begin to realize that we are the sky, that spacious, unchanging awareness, and not the transient, ever-shifting clouds of thought. This practice finds its natural home in the eternal now. The felt sense of enlightenment, of our true nature, can only be directly experienced in this very moment. The searching mind, by its very nature, tends to dwell in the past, replaying regrets, analyzing what was learned, or it projects into the future, anticipating what might be achieved, what enlightenment might look like. But dropping into the now, fully arriving in this present moment, is to drop into the only place where truth can be directly, immediately felt. How often do you find yourself caught in replaying the tapes of the past or anxiously rehearsing various scenarios for the future, even when you are consciously trying to be present or engage in a spiritual practice? What if the most profoundly spiritual act isn't about adding another concept, but about simply fully arriving in this unfolding moment, open and receptive to what can be genuinely felt, without the overlay of an old story or a future expectation? So, we've journeyed through the common detours, the seductive trap of the endless external search, the subtle confusion between merely learning about truth versus directly feeling its presence, and the ever-active conceptual mind that often obscures the very simplicity we seek. And this brings us to the heart of the matter, the pivotal moment of transformation. The relentless search, the intellectual quest, doesn't culminate in a final, neatly packaged answer delivered by the mind. Instead, it dissolves in a click of recognition, a profound shift felt deep within. It's that breathtaking moment when you stop trying to find it, that elusive peace, that enlightenment, and you realize with startling clarity that it is the very aliveness, the silent, aware presence, the profound sense of being that was experiencing the search all along. Enlightenment, then, isn't an acquisition, a trophy won after a long struggle. It is, more accurately, the dropping of an illusion, the deeply ingrained, often unconscious belief that you were ever separate from this inherent wholeness, that you were ever not that. The relief that accompanies this inner click is immense. The heavy burden of the search simply falls away. The persistent, gnawing need to fix yourself, to improve, to become more spiritual or more enlightened, in order to be worthy, dissolves in the warmth of this felt recognition. This is the core, the living essence of the understanding that enlightenment isn't learned, it is felt within. It's not just a change in what you know, it's a fundamental shift in your very sense of identity, a movement from perceiving yourself as a limited, separate seeker to recognizing yourself as the timeless, spacious awareness in which all seeking, all experience arises and subsides. Imagine an actor who has been playing a challenging, perhaps even tragic role for so long with such conviction. The role of the seeker, the unenlightened one, the one who is lacking. They become so immersed in the character that they momentarily forget they are, in fact, the actor. The click is that profound, often sudden moment of remembering, oh, right, I am the awareness playing this role, not merely the role itself. And in that remembrance, in that shift of identification from the character back to the actor, a profound freedom is instantly, palpably felt. You don't need to earn your way to this realization, nor can you meticulously learn your way into it through concepts alone. It is your birthright, your most fundamental nature, patiently waiting, always waiting, to be felt beneath the persistent noise of who you think you are. This profound realization, this inner click, doesn't have to remain an abstract concept or a fleeting peak experience. We can actively cultivate our capacity to access this felt sense of our true nature, anchoring it in the midst of our daily lives. The key is not grand, elaborate rituals, but small, consistent moments of turning inward. I want to offer you an incredibly simple, yet deeply effective practice. Let's call it the 1-minute inner anchor. You can do this multiple times a day, or whenever you feel that old impulse to search, to grasp, to figure things out with the mind starting to rise. Here's how it works. First, simply pause. Stop whatever you're doing. If it's comfortable and appropriate for you, gently close your eyes or soften your gaze. Second, arrive. Take one conscious, intentional breath. Feel your feet on the ground, notice the support of the chair beneath you, or simply feel the space your body occupies. Allow yourself to fully arrive in this present moment. Third, sense inward. Gently shift your attention from the stream of your thoughts to the subtle sensations alive within your body. You might notice the aliveness, the tingling, or the warmth in your hands. You might become aware of the gentle rhythm of your breath, the rise and fall of your chest or abdomen. Tune into the background of stillness that is always present, even beneath any mental chatter or physical discomfort. You can silently, internally ask the question, what is the feeling of being here, right now, without any story, without any label? And fourth, for the remainder of that minute, simply rest. Rest in that awareness, in that felt sense of presence. There's no need for judgment, no striving for a particular outcome, no trying to achieve a special state. Just be with what is. This isn't about achieving some mystical breakthrough in 60 seconds. It's about consistently, gently, creating these tiny windows throughout your day to feel the ever-present truth of your being. Each 1-minute pause is like a microdose of homecoming, a quiet return to yourself. This simple anchor, when practiced with regularity, begins to retrain your attention. It gradually shifts your focus from the often exhausting external search to the ever-available internal wellspring of peace and knowing. It builds your muscle for feeling, for sensing, making that quiet, inner signal clearer and more readily accessible, even amidst the demands and distractions of your daily life. So, the invitation is clear and wonderfully simple, to consciously shift from the often exhausting path of endless intellectual learning to the liberating and deeply fulfilling path of inner feeling. The search truly ends, not when you've accumulated all the answers, but when you recognize, when you feel, that the treasure you were seeking was never lost. It was, and always is, patiently waiting to be felt, to be acknowledged, deep within you. As the great poet and sage Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote, "The only journey is the one within." This isn't a journey to acquire something new, but a journey of uncovering, of remembering, of allowing ourselves to experience the profound peace and wisdom that is our inherent nature. The pioneering psychologist Carl Jung offered a similar insight when he wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." As we draw this reflection to a close, I leave you with a gentle inquiry. In one small way today, how can you choose to honor what you truly feel over what your mind thinks you should be learning or doing? Where can you create even a brief space to simply be present with yourself and listen to the quiet wisdom that is always being felt within? If this message of feeling over learning, of discovering the truth that is already alive within you, resonates in your heart, Let us know by hitting that like button. What was your biggest takeaway from our time together today? We genuinely invite you to share your insight in the comments below. Your personal reflection might just be the spark that illuminates the path for someone else. And to continue exploring these profound mysteries within and without, to deepen your connection with your own felt truth, we warmly invite you to subscribe to Mystic Sages and join our growing community of conscious explorers. Remember, the end of the search is truly just the beginning of a deeper, more authentic, and joyfully lived life.